Welcome to the Smooth Force podcast. I am Lamar, your host, and I have the opportunity to introduce Kenneth Hunt Jr. as my guest. How you doing, Hunt?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you for being a guest on the Smooth Force podcast. I wanted you on the guest because I don't just consider you an elite bencher. I think the world considers you an elite bencher. So you are the perfect person for the podcast because this podcast is a health and fitness podcast. I speak to individuals, everyone from newbies in the sport, newbies into fitness, who's just trying to find motivation, up to professional athletes, doctors, gym owners, and everyone in between. And you definitely fit the criteria for someone to speak to, especially being an elite bencher. So I was going to ask you a question. And my first question I was going to ask you is, have you always been strong? And before you answer that, you gave me a little information which kind of confirmed that, but you can elaborate further. So you were a 3-time nationwide champion in powerlifting at 275 pounds. You was a 2-time state champion from 2000 to 2002. You're the first person in high school at 275 pounds to squat a raw 800 pounds, and the first person in high school to total 1,900 pounds in high school in a big 3 lifts. That's a big accomplishment. So I think it's safe to say you always have been strong. Would you agree?
I would definitely say that. I would say it was God's gift to me.
Nice.
Getting into the sport. I really never knew how strong I really was. That's why I'm a 2-time state champion instead of 3-time state champion, because my sophomore year, my defensive line coach was like, come try it out and see what happened. By the time we made it to state, we were still trying to figure our max out. So I kind of undershot and ended up losing state by, the state champ had 15 pounds, and then, second place beat me by 5 pounds. They both had to pull the state record to beat me, but they hitched. Needless to say, they beat me. I finished third, but I was invited to nationals anyway.
Okay.
And when we got to nationals,
nice.
I got on both of them. So that's why I'm a 3-time national champion instead of a 3-time state champion.
Nice. It's still impressive. It's still very impressive. And at a youngster, your coach, was that, you say your football coach?
Yeah, he's my defensive line coach.
Defensive line coach. So he introduced you into powerlifting?
Yes. I wasn't really, I always been blessed with strength, just didn't really know it. Really didn't do it my freshman year because I really didn't care for the coach that was over it. My sophomore year, a new coach took over the spot, and he's my defensive line coach, so we had a relationship. And he was like, "Why don't you just try it out?" So it was kind of a conflict because I did do track, I did shot put and discus.
Nice.
But he was like, "Why don't you just try it this weekend and see if you like it?" So showed up. Okay. I actually won the meet. I didn't even have a singlet on. I had on some gray Nike shorts and a Carolina blue Nike shirt and some shoes, and won the meet. And I had to explain to my track coach why I didn't show up to the meet. He kind of got on. He was like,
it was a good reason. It was worth it.
And he kind of got on.
It was worth it.
He kind of got on, and he was like, did you win? I was like, yes, sir. So he's like, I'm gonna let you make it this time, but he's like, you have a responsibility. You show up to what you supposed to. So I always had to.
Got you.
But they go on at the same time, so it was. I ended up finding a way to work it out, but that was the thing I had to juggle track and powerlifting.
Okay. In high school, I was a runner. I was a sprinter, but I dabbled with shot put. But I didn't know the form of shot put. And shot put isn't just if you're strong, you can do well. There's a technique to it, So when I did it, it was just, since I had no technique, I would just stand, shot put is you have the ball, you rest it, on your shoulder or like near your neck, and I just threw it, but I didn't have the spin. I didn't have any of that, so the ball didn't go very far. So there's actually, so anyone who thinks shot put is just if you're big and strong, you can do it. No, there's technique behind it.
Fronted it is what we call it down here. We call it fronting it. You just basically
Fronting it?
fronting it.
Okay.
You just do it from the front of things, turn and basically from a front spot and just go forward, fronting it. I
Okay.
did a slide, which is like from the back, kicking to the front.
Okay.
I never got to like powerlifting became my main thing, so I wanted to try to learn how to do the spin, because my arms aren't I don't feel like they're normal length. As most people, my arms are really, really long. They're very standard. But everybody tells me I have T-Rex arms. But
Oh, you saying they're
they're
short
not.
or they're long?
I think they're fine. Most people tell me they're short. So I don't have long arms. So they say,
Okay.
so I was decent at shot put. I wasn't great at it. I had a friend,
Okay.
Joe Threes, who would beat me all the time in meets, but I'm way stronger, but I couldn't beat him in shot put.
Okay.
So it's definitely a technique to it.
Got you. Got you. No, it is. I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. So you were a football player, you was a shot putter, and you were a power lifter, and you set school records in the bench. Well, actually, all three. You had a 1,900-pound total.
Right.
Okay. What were your high school numbers?
At state championship, I did 800 pound squat. I did a 465 bench and a 635 deadlift with a broken finger.
Wow. Wow. And how old were you
18.
during this time?
18.
18. So at 18 years old, you had an 800-pound squat.
Yes.
That's impressive.
I would say I was
That's
blessed. And
impressive.
I'm gonna be. I always tell people like it was God's gift to me because I didn't start training hard till I train harder now than I ever did when I was younger.
Okay.
When I was younger, it came easy. Um,
Mm.
I worked out, but it wasn't to the extent like I put a lot of weight on. I think I mostly overtrained. I got a moderate weight,
Okay.
decent weight, and I did a lot of reps. I never started doing
Okay.
like peaking till I got older. Like now that I'm benching over 600 pounds, I never started doing peak workouts till maybe I was like 33. Because most of the time, my favorite workout was 10 sets of 10 with 225 or 10 sets of 10 with 315. That's what I did most of
And
bench press.
we're speaking about the
That's a
bench.
bench press.
Okay.
That's what I did.
10 sets of 10 for 225. That's a good workout.
Um,
That's a good workout.
And when I got to the point, like, I could do it for more, but though I love the endurance. A lot of people don't believe in volume or endurance, but I think that when you build that, it allows you to endure when you get to the heavier weight. You're not doing as much,
That's
but when you start getting in the 400 or 500, whatever's like extremely, whatever, peaking for your, like a 90, 95%, 100% of your, total, it is extremely
Yes.
taxing and you don't have to do as much. But I feel like the reps allow you to endure that process. You can get a little more out of it. At least
I agree.
that's what it's done for me.
Your numbers prove it. You know what you're talking about because your numbers prove it. So, and I agree with you. A lot of, I'm not a power lifter, but a lot of power lifters, to my understanding, they do 5x5s. They do lower reps, lower sets, lower reps, and a lot of time in between sets. I don't know if you put that in the mix on occasions, but whatever works, your method is proven.
I've kind of dialed down some. I'm learning that once you get to a certain peak, you don't have to do as much. I'm not saying you don't have to work as hard, but the reps aren't necessary. I'm at the point where I know I'll do the work, but I have to push so I can get higher numbers. So I'll learn to now. I'll do five. I used to hate doing 5x5s or 3x3s because I didn't feel like I did any work.
Okay.
It made me feel like I didn't work because I'm so used to doing so much volume.
Yes.
Now I learned that I'm
Yes.
peaking and I need to get these numbers to peak and try to push more. Now I do put it in.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not a heavy lifter. I'm more of a rep guy. So for example, when I'm doing my deadlifts, I'm doing 10 sets. When I'm doing my bench press, I'm doing 6 or more sets. When I'm doing squats, I'm doing 6 or more sets. So to me, 4 sets and it really depends on what weight I'm using, what weight I'm lifting. But for me, 4 sets, I just don't feel like I got enough out of it. If I'm doing leg press, I'm doing 10 sets of leg press. I just don't feel like 4 sets is enough for me. The muscles still have more in it, you know, and that conditioning, I love that conditioning that I get from doing those additional sets. What weight can you just lift after having a nice layoff? Let's say you didn't go to the gym in 2 months. What weight can you go to the gym and still lift comfortable? And I'm speaking about the bench.
Well, I can speak to that. Recently, okay, my dad passed away last year.
I'm sorry to hear that.
April last year.
Okay.
When he passed, right before he passed, I actually tore my patella tendon in January.
Oh, wow.
So January, I tore my patella tendon. My quad, and had a couple of tears in my meniscus, and sprained my ACL all in one. That made me sit down from basically January to April when he passed.
Okay.
I didn't have to have surgery. Everything, they put me in an immobilizer, and I didn't have surgery, luckily.
Okay.
But still, they didn't want me squatting anything until maybe January, August. I started more heavier physical training. Wasn't benching anything. So dealing with that, my dad passed, knee injury. I didn't basically lift weights for about a year.
Okay, wow.
Came back, maybe December, January, had a health scare, with my heart. Actually came with a bit negative. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. Let me do something to try to stop myself from dealing with those things. So normally,
yes,
I could go 2-3 months with the amount of reps I do. I would be able to go, no matter if it was 2-3 months, I can get under 500 pounds and hit it for 2 or 3 period, like no problem. This time, I got under 500 and it smashed me.
Oh, wow.
First time it had ever happened to me like that. I never felt that. It was kind of humbling, but I smiled. My homie was like, why you smiling? I said, because I know how to get back to 600 pounds. Now I'm glad to see myself not be able to bench 500 pounds and build myself back. So this time the trip is going to be longer, but harder, but I know how to do it. So
true.
I'm going through the process now. So I'll max out at the end of this month. I've been doing about an 8-week, period right now. I'm going to like a peaking period, which I normally do for a meet. I normally do 8 weeks. Some people do longer or shorter. I usually do 8 weeks. So I'm doing like a prepping for a meet for myself for bench press. I'm thinking I'm going to do maybe 535, 545, is my goal. Hopefully more, but let's do it. And I know from there, I'm going to do a meet in December. I know I'll bench at least 600 by December. So I'm just going to see where I'm at so I can plan accordingly.
But how about 4 or 5? Let's say you took that time off. Can you just go in the gym, get on a 4 or 5 and get it for reps?
I've been doing 4. Yeah, I've never not been able to hit 4 or 5. I've been doing 4 or 5 since I was in the 9th grade.
9th grade? Yeah. Wow. 9th grade was my first time benching 225, and it was the hardest lift I have ever done. I did it for 1 rep. I was on the baseball team. No, I wasn't on the baseball team, but the baseball team was in the gym. And I was 14. I think I was 14 years old. I don't recall my weight. And I did 225. And that rep took me probably 15 seconds to press it off my chest.
It was a long rep.
But it went up.
It was a long rep.
But and the coach, the baseball coach, I remember he said, I give you an A for effort and I give you like a D for form, because it was sloppy. It went up, but it was sloppy. I put everything I had in me. Let's say I weighed 160 pounds. I don't know. I don't know what I weighed, but it took 15 seconds to press off my chest, but I did it. And that was my first time attempting it and first time doing it. And I was actually pretty happy with it. And that reminded me, I saw you benching. I forgot the number. You was benching one of your videos. You was doing 525 for 3 with no spot and no lift off. And a lot of times when people lift heavy, they want a lift off. So are you okay with not getting a lift off, or if they're there, you take it? If they're not there, you're still going to train. How do you work it?
I'm used to not training with anyone. Is why I'm used
Mm,
to I'll break it myself and do it myself. I'm just coming to. I have some friends that I have a team that I live with now that are all friends from high school and all live now. That I when I'm home, I'll live with them and I live. We live together. So with them, I actually have training buddies so I can actually live with. I'm not used to that. So that's what came to me. Like
oh,
I'm used to just lifting and breaking by myself because usually if I do have someone, they usually come and they're focused on what I'm doing instead of what they're supposed to be doing to get better. I'm
got you.
very encouraging. I'm very helpful and trying to help anybody I can when it comes to lifting.
Hmm.
If you focus on what I'm doing and then it discourages you, then maybe we shouldn't be lifting. And usually they'll come maybe 2 or 3 times and they'll stop coming. I get the text message or I ain't coming or I can't do it
Yeah,
no more. And I was telling them like, if you come there worried about what I'm doing, you're never gonna get bigger. You're never gonna get better. You shouldn't be worried about what I'm lifting. You
true.
should be worried about what's getting you better. And
That's true.
and so I have people now that don't care about that. Or I have people that can actually
Okay,
push
yeah,
or actually better than me in some things. It may not be the bench press or the other things, but rows or something like that. They may be stronger. You're doing biceps. My biceps are weak. I barely work biceps. I got a homeboy that would kill me doing bicep
hmm,
work. So I don't go there and get
yeah,
upset
yeah.
about what you do better than me. I know I can get better at it. I don't worry about what you do. It's not going to make me better. What I do makes me better. And how much of what you do
Hmm.
doesn't, you just got to have to learn how to build on what you can do and learn from who you're working with or push or get the energy from the other person. Sometimes you need somebody for the extra push. And that's why I'm learning to enjoy having somebody to train with. Because most times for a long time I
Okay,
didn't. I go in with my
okay.
headset on and I'm just zoned out, a hoodie on something. And I just look in the spaces. I really can't train with anybody. Just space out to myself and listen to my music.
I got you. I got you. And 90% of the time I train solo. And there's pros or cons to that. The pro is I enjoy training. So I don't mind, and I actually learned to really appreciate training solo. Although, and I do get good workouts, but when I do have a partner and a training partner, and that person is around my strength, I do benefit, especially on the bench. Some exercises I believe really benefit by having a spotter. Bench is one. I can squat without a spotter, but bench is definitely something that helps if I have the spotter. But the reason why I kind of enjoy not having a workout partner is I don't want to get in a habit of enjoying working out because I have someone working out with me. I like going there by myself at whatever time I feel like going there, and me just being in the gym is fun enough, you know, despite me training harder with a partner, but it's really whatever works. As long as you're in there, that's what matters. Uh, so do you do what do you prefer to do? A bench only meet or all three?
I prefer to do a full meat. I love full meats. I feel like bench only meats, if they're in conjunction with a full meat are kind of spaced out and I kind of lose interest. Because I have to come to
Okay,
wait and it's a lot of waiting to lift for a short period of time than waiting for award ceremonies. I'd rather, if I'm gonna do a meet, I much rather do a full meet. I'm not gonna do one this time because of my knee. I'm still rehabbing my knee some. But
okay,
next year I plan to start back going in the full.
nice, nice. Have you ever done pin press? Are you a fan of pin press?
I've never used spin press. I actually, a guy, one of my friends I train with now, um, I'm letting him, he's actually, programming me and I'm going to start doing
Okay,
pin press, when I actually start for the meet, this coming up in December,
okay,
I'll actually have work that in and start doing pin presses then.
okay. And are you a big form guy? Or you want to arch your back and do all of that stuff?
I'm a flat back bencher, but I do believe in form. I'm not an archer. I'm not tall. I'm only 5'6", so I'm not real tall. So usually, arching to
Okay,
me is not a benefit. And I have a wide frame. My chest is big,
Okay.
so triceps are pretty big as well. Um, I don't, I can't do the arching and stuff. It's not something I want to do.
Okay. I don't know if you know him, Leroy the Machine Walker.
We've
Do
com-
you know who he
we've
is?
competed against each other.
You have? Okay, nice. And just similar to what you just said, he's not an archer neither. Now, do you think he's a flat back bencher as well?
Yeah, he's flat.
Do you think arch? Yeah. Do you think arching? Do you think arching would benefit you? Like, would you ever consider just incorporating it, or you just like, I have gone this far without it. It's not necessary to add to it.
I don't have anything against it or anything, or not to do it. I just think I'm my strongest when I'm flat. I feel like arching shortens the distance. I
Okay,
bench wide. I don't think I need to make it any shorter. I still have a distance,
yeah,
but I don't believe that I don't believe it's gonna benefit me. It's possible if I
got you,
try to play with it and see if it does, but I don't see
got
the
you,
need for it.
got you. Let me ask you a question that I'm sure you heard, and a lot of people ask this question, mention this, make this comment, and truthfully, it could be them just, you know, speaking negative or whatever it is. How do you feel about the comment? You're only strong because you weigh a certain amount of weight. You can only bench this much weight because you weigh this much. How do you feel about that comment there?
I would say it doesn't matter to me or affect me. I would tell them to talk to God about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been
Mm-hmm.
strong.
Got
I've
you.
been blessed with strength. I was strong when I was at 275. I was strong at 240. I was strong at 220. I've always been strong.
Mm-hmm.
Does actually being bigger is a benefit to bench more. So if you can take it as a positive or a negative, bigger usually has a bigger bench. Just like Julius Maddox,
Mm-hmm.
he's big. He's a big guy. He benches 700 pounds, 780 some pounds. He's a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it
So
not?
yeah, and you know what? I'm in agreement with, well, my view on it is I'm always impressed with I'm impressed with overall weight, overall strength. I'm impressed with seeing a smaller guy lifting heavy. I'm also impressed with a bigger guy lifting heavy. I remember years ago, back in the early 2000s, I saw two guys bench 405 for the first time. At that time, I was probably 18, 19 years old. I never saw anyone bench. There were one was a bodybuilder. He was probably maybe 250 pounds. He did for maybe 2, 3 reps. The other guy, maybe 260. He did for about 3, 4 reps. And I found it interesting. But strength is strength. If you're 500 pounds and you're benching a lot, okay, let me say this. I'm about 225 right now. Okay. A lot of guys, 225 pounds who are in the gym, they can lift 225 pounds, but they're not lifting 300 pounds. So let's say you weigh, I don't know what your weight is. I'm just throw a weight out. Let's say someone weighs 400
I'm
pounds
341
and they can
currently.
bench. So so you use weight 341. How many 341-pound guys can bench 405 pounds? Like, how many do you think? I'm gonna say not very many. Would you agree?
I think at that weight, I think it's common and average that most men at that weight can at least do 315. I'm, I'm, I'm of the mindset believing that. Now, when it comes to 400
Okay.
400 and more, that's where I begin to think that it varies.
Okay. Yeah, I see guys in the gym, and I did an interview with another powerlifter, and I said this to him, and it's a true statement. Whatever people can lift, they can lift. I don't joke. It's fine if you're strong, if you're weak, as long as you're in there doing something, it's great for you. Keep on pushing, keep on
Yes.
doing your thing. But at the same time, I don't see a lot of people do not bench the body weight. So if you say you weigh 341 pounds, I'm sure there's a whole lot of 341-pound lifters who are not benching 300 pounds. I'm sure there's a lot of 200-pound lift benchers who are not benching 200 pounds although there are some who's benching, you know, a lot more. So I don't know if there's that true correlation where if you're heavy, you should be able to lift heavy. I just don't agree with it.
No, I'm
I
with you.
just don't agree with it.
I'm with you. I don't think that it just automatically qualifies you to be able to bench heavy. I think 315 is something that is something that like a milestone for most, even if you are around that weight.
Of course.
So I think it's something. It still requires some work or some genetic and some effort to push to get there. So I don't think it just says you have to be lifted. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in my experience, the ones I've been around have been. I'm not saying that's just not the group ratio. I'm just saying that's just my experience.
Got you. I have two more questions for you. I have, how important is nutrition relating to not bodybuilding, powerlifting? Can you just eat whatever you want and still be strong and it benefits you as a lifter? Or do you have to restrict your diet or focus on increasing your protein intake or your carb intake? How does that change?
For me, when being strong, I've been able to eat whatever I want. I try not to though. Trying to do better.
Okay.
Like I've lost 56 pounds currently, and I'm still getting stronger.
Okay.
So I'm trying to take the slow approach to losing weight and still maintain the strength.
Nice.
I'm eating cleaner. I know that when I'm trying to be, my protein ratio goes to close to my body weight or somewhere around.
Okay.
Usually lower because I'm still trying to be somewhat of a deficit. I think when you're trying to be strong, you have to eat good. I don't think eating bad sometimes makes you groggy or you don't feel the extra push you need for a set or for a workout. Sometimes eating bad, you come in, you don't really feel like it. And better days when you come in, you ate clean maybe 2 or 3 hours before you work out and you just up for it. I know with me,
True.
I learned that I can squat 850 without eating. I can do that on an empty stomach.
Wow.
What I learned been learning to bench over 600 pounds, I have to carb up. Like I can eat protein,
yeah.
but I need carbs.
Okay.
When I'm benching
600.
I've learned that I benched the most in my life after 33 years old.
Okay.
So I learned then that I've had days where I came in done 545 for 4, and then the next set couldn't do 1 because I didn't eat enough. So I've learned that
you didn't have the carbs.
I didn't have carbs because I was trying to lose it. Again, always trying to lose a little weight, and it doesn't. I learned that no, if you're gonna do this, especially for those days, at least for those 2 days when you know you have a heavy bench day, you need to carb up the night before and the day of, and then you can go back if you're trying to lose weight. I basically carb load if I need to.
Yes, it's important. Last question before I ask you how folks can contact you, whatever social media platform you have, whatever you have. The last question is, when you go to the gym, do you warm up? When I warm up on the bench, I start with 135, then I go to 225, and then depending on the day, the next weight, it varies. Or are you still warming up with 135? Or since you're such a strong bencher, heavy bencher, do you go straight to 225, go straight to 315? What do you like to do?
I usually start off with like 225.
Okay.
Lately because I have a little twinge, a little pull in my left belt. So I kind of feel it when I'm lifting. So I'm warming up. I'm actually going back to the 135 and doing a 225, trying to get that kink work. Once I get it warmed up, and then it's fine. But starting off just because I feel that pull, I warm up a little bit, a little slower.
Okay. Got you. Hunt, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Is there any platform, is there social media, whatever, for someone to contact you if they just want to look at your post or contact you? I don't know if you coach or anything or just about to meet. And any information you want to give out?
On Facebook is Kenneth Hunt Jr. On Instagram is I am K Hunt,
Okay.
IAMKHUNT. That's why I'll do any kind of I'll message, I'll talk with anybody. That's how me and you converse most of the time. We speak through messaging, so I'll speak and talk with
Hmm.
anybody. I'll offer any kind of coaching or anything. I'm not looking for anything. I
Nice.
really don't have the. I just switched careers. I actually have more time now, but prior to I didn't have enough time to actually coach anybody hands on because I was so busy. Um,
Okay.
I I'm just available to help any kind of way. If you're actually interested and want to talk or have any interest in powerlifting, I will, or just weightlifting in general, even nutrition, I can help in some ways. And if I can't help you, I'll refer you because I have nutritionist friends, I have trainers, I have people to
Nice.
handle you. I'm definitely a resource to send you in any direction as possible.
Definitely. Definitely. Hunt, I appreciate you being on the Smooth Force podcast. As I said, it was a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
I hope that, yes, definitely. I hope folks reach out to you and use you as a resource, learn from you. You've been doing it for a long time. You've been an elite bencher since high school. So as I said, it was a pleasure, and hopefully we can speak again and perhaps do a project down the road.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you for having me and much love to you. Keep doing your thing.